This CNN host gets triggered after Dana White refuses to condemn the DEI attacks against Kamala Harris. I'm Vince with Resist the Mainstream. If you enjoy our content, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so we can keep bringing you videos like this. But before we get into today's main reaction clip, I feel like it's necessary to provide some receipts, some context, because Democrats are saying, why do Republicans call Kamala a diversity hire? That's so freaking racist. And it's like, no, in reality, that is because, let's remind ourselves, Joe Biden openly admitted that Kamala Harris was a diversity hire. He chose her because she was a black woman. That's been publicized. That is a known fact. And this CNN anchor is about to grill Dana White on that very issue. So let's take a listen to Joe Biden in his own words first.
Together we make history, not erase it. To me, the values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country and starts at the top with the vice president.
Diversity, it starts at the top with the vice president. Just keep that in mind as you listen to this interview between the CNN anchor and Dana White. All right, let's get into it.
I think people expected it to get nasty now that there is a new head of that Democratic ticket. It's the vice president, Kamala Harris. You know, you've joked before that politics is way nastier than sports or the UFC. But what we're seeing, I mean, there's a labeling of the vice president as a DEI hire. You yourself have prided yourself on giving both men and women opportunities at your organization. What do you think of this message that attacks the race and gender of an opponent?
Again, that's Joe Biden in his own words. That's what Joe Biden said. But how dare Republicans bring up your own words against you? Yeah, how dare we, right?
Yeah, I don't judge people by their politics and you know, who they vote for or any of that stuff. And listen, I don't know Kamala. She seems like she's a nice person. You know, I have nothing against her whatsoever. And like I said, I'm not political. But do I think that she is fit for the job? I do not. Personally.
But it's not necessarily about the policy. It's the approach to attacking one. I mean, I know that you are very well versed in what it's like to have a matchup, and people are going to go at each other for the sake of the sport and entertainment. But when it comes to attacks, particularly, I mean, there was that quote from J.D. Vance, who is his running mate, talking about childless cat ladies. I mean, these are not things that are in line with enveloping perhaps women into the fold, which is something you have always stood for, you say, in your sport. Why shouldn't that be the same in politics?
Yeah, well, listen, politics are the most disgusting, nasty. It's atrocious what is said in politics, and the things that are being said on one side are being said on the other side too, about Trump and about you know, his choice for vice president. It goes both ways. This isn't like, oh my God, look what's being said about Kamala. It goes both ways. They're both saying it. And like you said, it's already heated up and gotten nasty. And like you said earlier, it's only going to get nastier. That's politics. It is what it is. And it definitely goes both ways.
I don't know that it's going both ways to have the childless cat lady comment or a DEI hire. Who's calling you think that Vice President Kamala Harris is calling J.D. Vance a DEI hire, Dana?
Okay, hold on. Once again, let's do a fact check. Let's go to the receipts, because this CNN anchor is claiming it doesn't go both ways. Democrats never say things like this. So let's take a listen to what was playing on CNN's very own network in their very own words to prove it does actually go both ways. And as a matter of fact, the things that the left says in the other direction are substantially worse. Are we forgetting about this?
We messaged about this a little bit this weekend. I keep trying to point out to people not to demonize any one group or any one ethnicity, but we keep thinking that the biggest terror threat is something else. Some people who are marching, you know, towards the border like it's imminent. And when the last time they did this, a couple hundred people came and they, you know, most of them did get into the country. Most of them got tuckered out before they even made it to the border. So we have to stop demonizing people and realize the biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right. And we have to start doing something about them. There is no travel ban on them. There is no ban on, they had the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that?
So yeah, let's remind ourselves that not only does it go both ways, but when the left does it, it is objectively worse. So maybe in that regard, it really doesn't go both ways because only the left says things like that. The biggest terror threat in our country is white men, and we have to start doing something about that. I'm sorry, that is 1,000 times worse than whatever comment about diversity hire or childless cat lady. But of course, we're just gonna pretend like the things the left has been saying for years, suddenly because it's election season, they don't exist. They never have existed. Okay, sure, keep believing that. Let's continue the interview though.
But either way, she's going to say other nasty stuff about both of them. It goes both ways. And as voters, what we need to do is cut through all the BS, and you have to look at who do you think is best fit to run the country for the next 4 years. That is our job as voters. All of this stuff is a bunch of nasty BS. All of it. Who's best fit to run the country? You as a voter, that's what you need to decide. Not, oh my God, he said this, and oh my God, she said that. There's going to be a lot of that over the next several months. Cut through, and especially the media. Cut through all the BS that the media on both sides. You guys are really bad. Fox is bad. Everybody's bad. Cut through the BS and vote for who you think is the most fit to run the country. That's our job as voters.
Well, look, I don't wear pearls. I don't pretend to clutch them and pretend.
You are right now. You are actually doing that right now. Okay.
That I'm shocked by every nasty insult that is waged against another person. But I think your point, though, about the American people wanting to know who's best for the country, this is the issue. When people are focusing not on policy positions, but personal attacks that have nothing to do with what voters want to hear about, that detracts from the experience of voters making a decision, and that's the problem. And I'm going to just know when you say you guys are terrible, you clearly don't mean Laura Coates.
Okay, so there you have the interview between CNN's Laura Coates and Dana White. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out here is when you actually look at the Trump campaign ads and the majority of the messaging, it is not about Kamala Harris being a DEI hire. In fact, I'm not sure that Donald Trump himself has ever actually said that. And so to use the offhand comments of conservatives on the internet and label them as the Trump campaign is ridiculous. But again, if you really want to make that go both ways, we can make it go both ways. What about all the things that Democrats say about how Trump's spray tan sucks on the internet or something like that? It's just silly. It's just frankly dishonest. And I'm not even saying I don't think that the Trump campaign should make the majority of their argument about how Kamala is just a DEI hire, even if that's probably true. But at the same time, they're not. So what is she even talking about here? And you notice there, Dana White was not even trying to get into it. He's saying, look, I'm judging on the policy. What else do you want from me? But of course, they try to make a boogeyman out of the right wing. They just try to say, oh, but all you guys are running on is saying that we're a diversity hire. Meanwhile, that's all that Kamala Harris really is running on. I don't even hear. You hear these interviews of Kamala Harris voters. None of them mention policy. They say she's amazing. She's young. She's fresh. She's black. She's diverse. So it's like when you make the majority of your campaign argument about diversity, and they really are, they're repeating the mistake of Hillary in 2016 all over again. How can you turn around and get mad when someone responds to that and says, yeah, I think this campaign is all about diversity? It's just nonsense. But there you have it, folks. Until next time, I've been Vince with Resist the Mainstream. Be sure to let me know your thoughts, and peace.